$1.1 billion in IMF bailout funds, F-16 fleet sustainment program worth $450 million.
When you are talking of an aircraft like the capability of the F-16, you're not fooling anybody by saying this.
American ambassador to Pakistan Donald Blom visited POK and referred to it as Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Why does the US mollycoddle Pakistan so much? And what implications does this have for India? Let's take it from the start. Hello and welcome to the Core Questions. After gaining independence in 1947, India's history of colonial rule and the non-violent freedom struggle led to the formulation of its non-alignment policy. This was critical in the context of the Cold War because it allowed India to maintain cordial relations with the US as well as the USSR. In the late 1970s, at the height of the Cold War, a strong ally in Asia was a strategic necessity for the US. That role was enthusiastically taken up by Pakistan. India, on the other hand, stuck to its neutral position, choosing to focus instead on domestic challenges. The Cold War was not India's fight, and it refused to be drawn into taking sides. Pakistan, on the other hand, gave unstinted support to the United States of America. That support became strategically vital for the US when the USSR invaded Afghanistan in 1979. In collaboration with Pakistan, the US launched Operation Cyclone to counter the Soviets, and under this operation, the US used Pakistan's intelligence network to distribute money and weapons to arm the Mujahideen rebels. These cadres waged a low-intensity counter-offensive against the Soviets. Eventually, the Soviets decided to cut their losses and leave Afghanistan. Pakistan conducted an independent nuclear test. Caught off guard, the US responded by imposing heavy sanctions that included cutting funds for Pakistan's military. That freeze thawed again in 2003 when President George Bush ordered the invasion of Iraq. The country shared a border with Iran on the east. Given that Iran had already been designated as a sponsor of terrorism by the US in 1984, Pakistan again became strategically critical for the West. The new millennium dawned with a deepening of the Pakistan-US relationship post the 9/11 terror attacks on the New York City Twin Towers and the Pentagon. Billions of American taxpayers' dollars flowed into Pakistan.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
The US's most wanted man, Osama bin Laden, was discovered and eliminated at his hideout in Pakistan. Still, the flow of US funds to Pakistan continued unabated. Given that Pakistan is a nuclear-armed state which has consistently trained terrorists to wage a covert war in Kashmir, critics of the American funding for Pakistan's military have often questioned the purposes that this money has been used for. Over the past few years, there has been a shift in Pakistan's foreign policy. Instead of cozying up to the US, Pakistan has begun allying itself with China to exert pressure on India and reduce its dependence on American funding. Why should India be wary of this? Historically, India and the US have had an on-off relationship. The US wasn't thrilled about India's non-alignment stand during the Cold War and its friendship with Russia. Even today, it's been 2 years since we had a full-time US ambassador in India. The implicit message is to coerce India into aligning itself with the US's foreign policies in the region. There has also been a global narrative pushed by the US to vilify India for buying oil from Russia. A US program that lowered tariffs on imports from a clutch of countries that included India lapsed in 2020 and has not been renewed by Congress. These tactics have not worked, though. India has resisted attempts to be strong-armed into positions inconsistent with its own interests. Since 2014, India's stock has been rising on the international stage. Under PM Modi's administration, India has established deep trade and investment ties with the US. Besides critical sectors like defense and security, the Indo-US partnership has grown to include cybersecurity, civil nuclear energy, space exploration, clean energy, agriculture, and healthcare. In 2021, overall US-India bilateral trade in goods and services reached a record $157 billion. America is also India's largest trading partner and most important export market. The significance of this relationship was apparent at the 2022 G20 summit when President Joe Biden walked over to specifically greet PM Narendra Modi. The Indo-US partnership isn't limited to the G20 either. Both countries have close cooperation at a number of multilateral organizations, including the United Nations, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Regional Forum, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the World Trade Organization. But none are more important than the Quad.
क्वाड के स्तर पर हमारे आपसी सहयोग से एक फ्री, ओपन और इंक्लूसिव इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र को प्रोत्साहन मिल रहा है.
And addressing the climate crisis as referenced by our new colleague, ensuring that technologies of the future are governed according to our values. In a short time, we've shown the Quad isn't just a passing fad. We mean business.
The bloc, which has allied Australia, Japan, the United States, and India to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific, has effectively checked China's and Pakistan's influence in the region. India is now seen by the US as a strategic ally to counter China. The recently released 2022 US National Security Strategy says, and I quote, "As India is the world's largest democracy and a major defense partner, the United States and India will work together bilaterally and multilaterally to support our shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific." Just a few months back, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar bluntly called out the duplicitous partnership between Pakistan and the US. The message was clear. It is time for the US to rethink its relationship with Pakistan.
Because at the end of the day, for someone to say, I'm doing this because it is for counter-terrorism, when you are talking of an aircraft like the capability of the F-16, everybody knows where they are deployed and what is the use and what is their capability. So, you're not fooling anybody by saying these things.
These developments have put immense pressure on Pakistan and made it nervous about losing ground to India when it comes to a relationship with the US. Justifiably so, because any walkback from the US would have severe consequences for Pakistan, whether it's direct funding or supply of weaponry. Concurrently, PM Modi has frequently and consistently stressed India's cultural greatness while touting its military capabilities and its economic potential. These, coupled with a stronger India-US relationship, could trigger a change in US policy regarding Pakistan. It's more than likely that India will be a closer ally of the US than Pakistan in the future. India has taken its place on the world stage and makes no apologies for prioritizing its own needs and taking an independent stand on global issues. In this new world order, Pakistan's geostrategic position, which it has milked for decades, is on the wane. Thank you for tuning in to The Core Questions. Catch the latest episode of Tuesday and Thursday of every week. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and also leave your comments below. Until next time, this is Priyanka Deo signing off. Namaste.